to spend some time talking about management style. I have an entire section I cover in other classes, but here I want to talk about styles. And there's two major style differences I want to discuss because this really does pertain hugely to community. You're the new leader in the process. There's a guy named Douglas McGregor, and years ago he proposed two different theories, theory X and theory Y. And they're really very different in the aspect of how people assume things that are on there. A theory X manager, they make the assumption employees don't like work and they want to avoid it. Workers must be forced, controlled, and directed and threatened with punishment to get them to perform. Workers prefer to be directed and they avoid responsibility. The primary motivators are fear and punishment because that's the only way to get them to do their job. Otherwise, they'll be slackers. And wait a minute, this is theory Y. People like work. It's part of life. Workers seek goals to which they're committed, goals that depends on perceived rewards. If I do this, I may get something in return. I may get public recognition. I might get a raise. I might have new opportunities open to me. People seek responsibility. People can use creativity to solve problems. Really, the employees, we only use part of their brain in the process. As a supervisor, I want to engage them completely. People are motivated by a variety of words. She really likes to sit down and be recognized in front of a group. He really sits down and it's kind of an introvert. He preferred to sit down and just get a little certificate or maybe a bonus check of $50 and a gift card. Who knows? But I want to sit down and find out each one of my employees because they're all different peoples. A theory X manager, sometimes they're phenomenal. Charlie Ergen, he really is the founder of Dish Network. If you go through, look at him, you look at other ones, by the time it's all done, in the Ford Motor Company, they had a theory X. I'm painting them as really difficult to work with, and sometimes they are. But that being said, there's detailed work that needs to be done. You need to sit down and analyze on your own personal style. Examine yourself as you build your company up. What works? Do you sit down and manage the details of it to make sure it's done properly? And then can you release those details with people that you can trust in the process? Are you going to open up? The problem with the 3Y managers is often they're so focused on making certain all the employees are happy that sometimes lazy employees slop it and then somebody else has to suck it up because of the fact that they're not doing their share. Find the balance between the theory X and theory Y for you. My opinion, generally theory Y works, except that a lot of times the theory Y managers don't follow up. They don't tell the employee, okay, here are my expectations. The theory X manager goes through and they tell people do this, this, this. No, it's not exactly perfect. To go back for it and everything else. Some of them have been very successful in the process though. Stephen Jobs created Apple. He was a micromanager to the nth detail, except his products are phenomenal. And still his legacy is that Apple has phenomenal products in the process as well. So they both have their strengths and weaknesses. And sometimes from a contingency approach, you have to deal with employees in different ways. There are some people that are self-starters and you just have to look at them. One time I managed a giant housing cooperative. We had 87 buildings altogether and I had a roofer. I fired two roofers because they weren't cutting it for me. They weren't doing the work that I wanted them to do. I found a really good one. And so I'd wait until he finished one roof of the building because they're re-roofing the entire complex. I had a schedule over a 5-year period. We did all 87 buildings. So I would wait until he'd sit there and he'd be across the street. He'd be up there, replacing shingles, ripping up roof boards that had rotted over years and everything else. And I would just go back and look on the other building and see the work that he did. And he'd come off his ladder and he'd come up the ladder and say, everything okay? Everything okay? I said, you know what, it looks pretty good. This looks nice. This is kind of funny here. Oh, I'll fix it right now. He was fabulous to work for. I never had to say almost anything at all because he was a self-starter. He was a great contractor, and you want to keep those people around, whether they're a contractor or an employee. You just sometimes people sit down and they respond well. Other times you have to sit down and say, you know what? This is really bad. You're sending a memo out to customers and it's got 2 typos in it. This is not acceptable. No typos because the typos reflect us not paying attention. I really want to get this done right. You think you got it now? Sometimes those dialogues need to happen as well. You need to have your skills because at the end of the day, it reflects back on you. I was walking down a hallway at my dentist's office He's leaning up against the door frame and he's eavesdropping on the dental hygienist talking to a customer. I says, "What are you doing? Are you spying?" He said to her, says, "As a matter of fact, I am. I wanted to make certain that they're properly going through, making certain they're checking your patients for cancer underneath their tongue. It's something they wanted, and I want to make certain they have the dialogue right and they have good customer engagement." I said, "Well, that's really good." He says, "Well, after all, my name's on the door. At the end of the day, if you have a company, your name is on the door. You're responsible for the door. You're responsible for everything inside of that door, including the behaviors and the actions of your employees and the relationship with the customers and the clients that you have. Do what works best for building your community for your company." Take care.